Hi, and welcome to week 2 of SEI 506. So this video will address some of the main types of ELs you'll encounter in your classroom and also culture. So, main types of ELs. The first type is the one that we tend to think of the most. These are your recent arrival ELs. These ELs are brand new, and with them as the teacher, your main goal is to teach them social English, but also the basics of the key vocabulary words in the various content areas. The methods that you'll use for these students we will get into in later weeks. Then you have SEI students. SEI students are ELs with interrupted L1 schooling. These students may have completed school years in different countries. Maybe one year they were in their country, and then the next year they went to the United States, and then they went back to their country. So they've got some back and forth. Some may not have attended school regularly in their country for various reasons. These students tend to have foundational education gaps. So like, for instance, they may know how to add and subtract, but then you get to multiplication and division or fractions, and they have no idea how to do that. They may have some L1 literacy, but they're not on grade level in their L1, which can create problems when they're learning how to read in English. So the next type of student that you may have heard of are refugees. So refugees, officially, their definition is they have come to the U.S. for political or religious and or racial or ethnic persecution, okay? In the past, I've taught some refugees, but I haven't had too many in the past few years. Their educational needs really depend on their situation and their experiences. So some, they may have gaps in education, like a SEI student. Some, they may have a little bit of English, depending on where and if they were like in a refugee camp. Some, they may have obtained high levels of literacy in their L1, and they continued their L1 schooling in a refugee camp. So once they go into English, they actually do really well. So it just all depends on the student. With refugees, recent arrivals, and SEI students, they have some similarities. They all need support in learning how to do school in the United States. Most will need support learning routines, cultural norms, expectations of school. They may have some gaps and need to learn basic skills, like holding a pencil or using a pair of scissors. They may have experienced trauma or been put in very adult-like situations, which in the classroom could manifest into disrespectful or silly behaviors. So understanding and getting to know as much as you can about each student's individual experiences will help you be more mindful and understanding of why they act a certain way and what they're going through. Long-term ELs have very different needs from SEI, recent arrivals, and refugees. These are the kids who you're often surprised that at first they're still in ESOL because their social language is quite proficient. These students, while they may speak their first language at home, they lack L1 literacy. And in English, they are behind their grade level despite having always been in U.S. schools or having been born here. Obtaining L1 literacy is one way that schools can support their reading and writing skills in English. However, depending on school-wide supports that are available, this isn't always feasible. These students really need time and extra practice to catch up on grade level reading and writing proficiency. Now, let's take a look at the cultural iceberg model that was first developed by Edward T. Hall in 1976 as it pertains to the classroom. This is known as the cultural iceberg model. So typically when we think of culture, our first thoughts, of course, are things that are at the tip of the iceberg here, like food, music, language, festivals, different holidays, customs, flags, that sort of thing. Okay, these are what you would call your big C cultural items. While in the classroom it's nice to know about and recognize these differences, they don't really reflect or affect our interactions in the classroom. So as teachers, we have to consider the things that are deeper, that are below the surface. These are your little C culture, okay? And there's a lot of them, all right? Some of them that pop out to me on my daily basis that I see in my classroom are like notions of modesty with my students that are quite different that I've had to learn to deal with. Gender roles is something that I've had to learn how to deal with. Attitudes and importance of time, okay? Importance of space, the way you view space. And different kinds of learning styles are some things that I see in the classroom, and there are lots of different ones as everyone can tell here. So these are the ones though that honestly affect our interactions in the classroom more. So this week, while you are considering your discussions about developing cultural competency, consider some of these, okay? Think about how being mindful of some of these hidden cultural differences can help you to better understand your students from different cultural backgrounds. Think about how could some of these more internalized cultural norms cause cultural miscommunications in your own classrooms? And also consider how we can support our ELs while teaching them the cultural norms and expectations that are found within U.S. schools. So consider all those things this week as you read and you consider your discussion question. And this is where I got my picture from. So anyways, welcome to week 2, and I hope this video is helpful for you. And as always, remember Thursday there will be a live Zoom session at night, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.